Alright, before I show you guys the wheel being mounted, I'm going to show you how I made a better mousetrap. Let me move my stuff out of here. I just got finished refurbishing a Wilton table bench vise from the 1950s. This is what it looked like before. Alright, here's some room here. Alright, so what I did in order to get to use the torque wrench to tighten up the axle and use the right torque specs, and also be able to take the axle apart later on if need be, I found myself a couple sockets. 13/16 is the size. Here's the other one. And they don't fit over the ends of the axle, just barely too small. So I took it over to my machinist friend, and he bored it out slightly. As you can see, it's a regular socket with the points here. And there's a little bit of, you can see it's a little bit cut off here. Same thing with this one. So now the sockets on each end of the axle is snug, not really loose. Then I had them drill holes through the sockets. And here I got an Allen wrench. I'll stick through here, see? And the axle end will be in here. So you got the hole in the axle, then you got the two holes in the sockets, and hold it in place with the Allen wrench or any kind of a hardened rod. Now, as you see here, there's a hole here because my machinist didn't realize that at the end over here of the socket you had to stop here, so he had to re-drill the holes. But you know, for being a homemade tool, it's going to do its job. Now here's the other one. Did the same thing. He bored it out here, drilled holes through it, and I found something in my toolbox that fits perfectly in here. So if I had two of them, I would be using that on the other side too, but I couldn't find another one. So you guys could do the same thing. This is the exact same size that fits through the hole in the axle also. So now, if you guys have the hidden axle with the 25mm or the 1-inch, then you have to find a socket slightly larger, and then if you can, get somebody to bore it out for you so you can have a nice snug fit around the axle end. Or you can try it loose, but I have no idea if this rod's going to bend when you start torquing it. But I really don't think so, because it's a lot different than the way with the screwdriver. Because the screwdriver was in the hole like this. Okay, screwdriver was in a hole like this, and then you're pushing down on it, and this edge, that's all the torque was on, is this edge. It wasn't completely spread out across the whole axle end. And actually, the holes in this socket is actually taking up the torque. There's really no torque in the axle hole anymore using these sockets. So that's the reason why the screwdriver bent, because this was all that it was trying to hold on to torque to 60 pounds. So that's it. So I just want to show you guys there's always a better way, and this is the better way. You'll see when I show you the next segment with my mounting the wheel to the fork. So, alright, be right back. Alright, we're ready to put the axle end on now. And I'm not showing me putting the axle into the hub. You saw that in the last couple segments ago. So we're going to move up here a little bit and already have it in the hub. So here I'm going to put some blue Loctite on the axle. And it calls for red, but there's no way this axle end is going to turn once it's locked into the forks with the caps, the end caps. So you turn this by hand. Okay, I got it snug now. Okay, while we have this like this, let me see here. I don't know if you can see this, but you see the hole and you see how the threads are sticking out? This is the reason why I have to put a smaller diameter rod in here. So I wasn't able to find one. So I'm using an Allen wrench right now, substitute. But you can get an Allen, not an Allen wrench, but I mean a hardened rod to fit in there. So this is maybe different with yours. You may not have these threads showing over here, and if so, then you can use the actual diameter of this hole for a rod. So now I have this in here. Okay. Now I'm going to take the socket, line it up for the holes over there. Stick the Allen in there like so. Alright. Now we're going to go to the other side. And we're going to put the socket that I made for this side, line up the holes. Well, here's the rod that I'm using. It's a hardened steel rod, and it's the exact size of the axle, the hole in the axle, and the socket. So I'm going to put it in here like this. Okay, the other side came out because I turned it. Alright, got this breaker bar. I'm going to put the breaker bar in. Okay, I'm going to come back on this side. Alright, so now we have both ends with the sockets on there, and we put the rods into the holes. So now what I'm going to do is, alright, I got my torque wrench and it's set at 55 foot-pounds. I put that on here. Okay, so now I tighten this. Now another thing, the last time we had to have two guys here. We can actually have one guy do this job right now. I can hold the other side with the breaker bar, and I can hold this side and torque. So here we go. Okay, that's 55 pounds torque. And you saw how hard it was. You could never torque this correctly with screwdrivers. You need to torque it so you can put the right amount of load on your bearings. So you need to correct this. Need to use the correct torque. Okay, so now I just set the torque wrench to 60 pounds, and the next click you'll hear will be 60 pounds of torque. And there you have it. No bent Allen wrench. The socket comes off. Here's the other side. Breaker bar. Put off the rod. Off goes the socket. And there you have it. The correct way to torque your axle with a hidden axle. So now what we're going to do is go over to the bike and we're going to mount this wheel. Alright, before we put the wheel on, I'm going to show you how to clean the threads out in the lower fork here. Here's your threads right here. This is where the cap locks your axle in. There's more light here that you can see. See the threads in there. Alright, also you can see here, this is the plug for your fork lube, your fork oil. All you do is just take this out and your fork oil will come out. If you want to change it to this Screaming Eagle heavy duty lube, and that's what I did before I put the wheel on. So right now what you have to do is, there's going to be some Loctite in there. So what you do is you take your thread tap and you just turn it in here. Now you're going to need a wrench for this, but I already cleaned the holes out. So I'm just showing you the correct way to do this. And when you pull it out, you're going to have Loctite fall out of there. and your threads will be clean. So then when you go to this next one, you clean your tap off any Loctite particles in there, and then you just go here, turn it in there. Try to see if you can do it by hand. If not, then you just get a wrench and you use the wrench to clean it all the way up in there. Okay, so then when you come out, whatever Loctite was on your threads will fall out of there. Alright, now these front ends come with the oil already in it, so when you take that plug out, I got one of these measuring cups, and what you do is just take the plug out and just run and empty out your oil into this measuring cup. And the measuring cup, I don't know if you can see it or not, because I used some solvent to clean it and I screwed it up. I have to get a new one. But they have ounces marked out here. So whatever ounces they came out of there, you just replace it the same amount. Now here on the side, you can see the ounces here, 12, 13, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is perfect for this. So then what you do is after you completely empty out the tube, alright, then let it sit for a while, put it on a level table or stand or something, and then check it out. Then write it down, then pour this out, clean it, wipe it down, then put your new oil in there to the exact amount that you poured out of there. So, and then what you do is put the amount that you put in there, write this down in your manual. So next time when you want to change the oil, you'll know, because it probably won't correspond to the exact amount that's actually in your manual. So you're doing a custom job here, so you're going to have a custom amount of oil in your custom front end. Alright, so now I'm going to come back and I'm going to put the wheel back on. Alright, we're going to put the wheel back on the bike. And for you guys that bought yourselves a new jack or lift for your motorcycle, and you had your red or yellow Sears jacks, don't get rid of them, because you can use the jack to put your wheel on your bike, front or rear, without any help. So just a little heads up here. Don't get rid of your jack, keep it. I hear a lot of people got rid of them, and this will really help you guys out. So right now I'm going to put the wheel in place. So here, I'm lining up the brake disc with the caliper. I'm going to run it in here. Okay, so you see the axle fits into the lower leg. You saw when I was cleaning the threads out, there's a area where the axle fits into it. So now what I'm going to do is put the caps on and put the bolts in. So let me bring this closer. Alright, I'm just going to leave this wheel here, the camera here, I'm sorry, the camera here. I won't go to the other side. There's no need, you'll see both sides are identical. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Loctite on the two fasteners. Like so. And what you do is you take alright, so now you got both of your fasteners with blue Loctite on it. Alright. So now we're going to take the caps, or the cap, I'm sorry. So I'm just light. I'm going to just snug this in here. It's not going to actually be tight. I still got to center the wheel in the brake caliper. So I need to leave it just a little loose so I can move it slightly back and forth. Alright. Going to the other side. Okay, so this side's snug. Okay. Get the jack out of here. Alright, you gotta tap it just a little bit over the right side of the, there we go. A little bit more. Okay, so now we're going to torque the fasteners. Alright, so the torque is 30 foot-pounds, but I'm going to start with 25 and end up with 30. It's not really going to harm it any. Now what you're going to do is these two parts don't actually meet. Okay? Because if it did, then eventually that axle will get loose. So what you need to do is just when you tighten this, you just make sure that the space all the way around is almost the same. So what I'm going to do is tighten this a little bit, then I'll go to the other side and making all four. I'm going to do all four evenly here. Okay, back to this side. Okay. Okay, we're just about ready to hit the click. Okay, first click. Okay, it's 25 foot-pounds. I'm going to set it at 30. There you have it. So this was the real-time video from start to finish, and hopefully this helped you guys. And shouldn't have any problems with the axle being loose. Now, I have the 3/4 inch axle, which has the open bearings. Now, there may be an update to this front end eventually, and it'll probably update to the 25 millimeter or the 1 inch axle. Who knows? They're kind of slow when you do stuff like this. And so the other axles, the larger axles, have the seal bearings, and the actual torque specs are about the same in the owner's manual. So you basically will be doing the same thing as far as torquing your axle ends. So I hope that helped. And I know the video was a little long, but this is real time, so it's best that we not shorten it up, and then you guys will miss something, or something will be shown. And I like to make it a little longer. A lot of people have been writing me saying that my videos are long, but it's the only way to show what happens if you run into a problem. I like to show it. So anyway, till next time, we'll see what happens. There might something else come up. I'll make another video. So good luck with your front end, and take care. Alright, one more thing before we go. You saw me put blue Loctite on the fasteners instead of red. And the reason why I did that is because this is powder coated, and usually with red Loctite you have to heat it in order to break it loose. And there's no way I'm going to be able to heat those fasteners without damaging the powder coat on the forks or the caps. So I use blue Loctite, and I'm very cautious. I check almost all the time different fasteners and make sure they're tight. So if you have the chrome, I don't know, you may still ruin the chrome with the heat. So just to let you guys know, that's the reason why I use the blue Loctite. So alright then, till next time.